Maria Rodriguez had always been a dreamer, her life carefully plotted like the architectural blueprints she designed with such precision. Growing up in a small town outside Mexico City, she was the first in her family to graduate from university, her passion for design burning brighter than the expectations her traditional parents had mapped out for her. Carlos Hernandez was everything she thought she wanted: charming, ambitious, and seemingly supportive of her career. They met during a professional conference in Mexico City, where Carlos was working as a marketing executive for a large telecommunications company. He was 6 years older, confident in a way that made Maria feel both intimidated and excited. Their courtship was a whirlwind of expensive dinners, weekend getaways, and passionate discussions about their future. Carlos spoke of breaking traditional boundaries, of supporting Maria's architectural ambitions. He seemed different from the men in her hometown: modern, progressive, understanding. Within a year, they were married in a lavish ceremony that her parents viewed as a triumph, a testament to their daughter's success. The first 2 years of their marriage were what Maria would later describe as a carefully curated illusion. Carlos encouraged her professional pursuits, at least publicly. He would boast about her achievements to his friends, showcasing her award-winning sustainable housing designs, presenting her as a trophy of sorts, the brilliant wife who was making waves in a male-dominated industry. But behind closed doors, the dynamics were subtly different. Carlos's support came with subtle conditions. He preferred her to dress a certain way, to style her hair how he liked, to moderate her professional enthusiasm. "You're brilliant," he would say, "but don't intimidate people." The compliment always felt like a soft-edged criticism. When Maria discovered she was pregnant, it was unplanned but not unwelcome. She had always wanted children, and at 32, she felt ready. Carlos seemed initially excited, talking about family legacy and continuing his lineage. He accompanied her to doctor's appointments, posted carefully staged pregnancy updates on social media, the perfect image of a supportive modern husband. But as her pregnancy progressed, something changed. The subtle criticisms became more pronounced. Her body transforming, weight gaining, energy fluctuating. Carlos's patience seemed to wear thin. He would make comments about her appearance, disguised as jokes. "Careful with those extra helpings," he'd say with a smile that never reached his eyes. "We don't want you turning into a different person." Maria tried to ignore these remarks, attributing them to the stress of impending parenthood. Her body was creating life, surely that was more important than fitting into a predetermined aesthetic. She continued her work, modifying her design approach to accommodate her changing physicality, finding beauty in adaptation. Little did she know that the real test of her strength, her resilience, was about to begin at a seemingly ordinary Saturday night gathering that would become the turning point of her entire life. #at 7 months pregnant. The breaking point. The party was Carlos's idea, a networking event disguised as a casual gathering at their expansive Mexico City apartment. Marketing executives, tech entrepreneurs, and their partners mingled around the sleek, minimalist space Maria had carefully designed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's skyline, her architectural touch evident in every carefully curated detail. Maria had spent weeks preparing, despite her pregnancy fatigue. She wore a black wrap dress that accentuated her curves, a deliberate choice to show she was still confident, still herself. Her hair was pulled back in a sophisticated chignon, minimal makeup highlighting her natural beauty. She moved between groups, making conversation, her professional charm intact. Carlos watched her from across the room, his smile growing increasingly strained with each interaction. She noticed him whispering to Jake, his best friend and colleague, occasional glances in her direction punctuating their conversation. As the evening progressed, the alcohol flowed more freely. Conversations grew louder, more boisterous. Maria felt increasingly uncomfortable, her back aching, her feet swollen. She retreated to the edge of the living room, a glass of sparkling water in hand, observing the crowd. That's when it happened. Jake, slightly drunk, nudged Carlos and spoke loudly enough for several nearby guests to hear. "Man, marriage changes everything. Look at Maria, she used to be so hot." Carlos didn't miss a beat. His laugh was sharp, cutting through the ambient noise. "Hot? More like a beached whale now. Pregnancy has completely destroyed her body." The room didn't go silent immediately. Instead, a ripple of uncomfortable chuckles spread through the group. Some guests looked away, embarrassed. Others seemed to wait for Maria's reaction. Maria felt the words like physical blows. Each syllable landed with brutal precision, stripping away her dignity piece by piece. She was 7 months pregnant, carrying their child, working full-time, continuing to excel in her career. And this was how her husband chose to describe her, Carlos continued, seemingly emboldened by the alcohol and the environment. Remember when she used to turn heads? Now look at her. Nothing but stretch marks and baby weight. Jake and 2 other men laughed, a synchronized, cruel sound that echoed through the apartment. Maria realized they weren't just laughing at her. They were performing for each other, a grotesque display of masculine bravado. Her hand instinctively went to her belly, a protective gesture. The baby kicked a small, defiant movement that felt like solidarity. In that moment, Maria experienced a complex tornado of emotions: humiliation, anger, profound sadness, and an unexpected spark of resistance. The women at the party were studiously avoiding eye contact. Some looked genuinely uncomfortable, others seemed frozen, unsure how to respond. Maria realized she was entirely alone in this moment. Carlos finally turned, catching her gaze. His expression was a mixture of challenge and something else, a flicker of something that might have been shame, quickly masked by another forced laugh. Internally, Maria was fracturing and reforming simultaneously. Years of subtle undermining, of gradual erosion of her self-worth, crystallized in this moment. The carefully constructed facade of their perfect marriage was crumbling, revealing its brittle, toxic core. She thought about the life growing inside her. About the world she would soon be introducing this child into. About the example of partnership, of respect, of human dignity she wanted to demonstrate. Something fundamental shifted within Maria. This moment, this public humiliation, would not define her. It would be the moment she chose herself, chose her child, chose a different path. Her spine straightened. Her chin lifted. And though tears threatened, she didn't let them fall. Not here. Not in front of them. The party continued around her, the noise a distant backdrop to her internal revolution. Maria Rodriguez was about to become someone entirely new. The morning after the party, Maria woke before sunrise. The apartment felt different, oppressive, suffocating. Carlos had come home late, presumably too drunk or ashamed to face her, and was now sleeping soundly in their bedroom. She sat at her drafting table, surrounded by architectural plans and design sketches, her sanctuary of creativity. Her fingers traced the lines of a sustainable housing project she'd been developing, a concept that challenged traditional urban living, much like she was about to challenge her own life's trajectory. The first call was to her sister, Elena, a therapist in Guadalajara. Elena had always been her anchor, her voice of reason. "I need help," Maria said, her voice steady but laden with emotion. Elena listened carefully as Maria recounted the previous night's events. There was no judgment, only a calm, supportive presence. "You're not alone," Elena reassured her. "We'll figure this out together." Within days, a support network began to form. Elena connected Maria with a support group for pregnant women facing relationship challenges. Her best friend from university, Lucia, a successful environmental lawyer, offered both emotional and practical support. "You have options," Lucia told her during a long coffee meeting. "And none of them involve staying in a relationship that diminishes your worth." Maria began therapy, both individual and group sessions. She discovered a pattern of emotional manipulation that had slowly eroded her self-esteem. Carlos hadn't just insulted her that night, he had been systematically undermining her confidence for years. With Elena's guidance, Maria started documenting everything. Medical records, incidents of emotional abuse, financial contributions to their shared life. She was building a foundation for whatever might come next, whether that meant separation, divorce, or a radical relationship reset. Her architectural work became her lifeline. She threw herself into a groundbreaking project designing sustainable housing for single mothers. The irony wasn't lost on her, she was creating spaces of empowerment while reconstructing her own life. The pregnancy became a source of strength rather than vulnerability. Maria attended prenatal yoga classes, joined support groups, and began preparing for motherhood on her own terms. She took birthing classes, learned about single parenting resources, and started a savings plan specifically for her child's future. Her body, which Carlos had so cruelly mocked, became a symbol of resilience. She documented her pregnancy journey on a blog, sharing honest, raw experiences of transformation. What started as a personal outlet quickly gained a following. Women from across Mexico began reaching out, sharing their own stories of survival and empowerment. Carlos noticed the change, though he didn't fully comprehend it. His attempts to control became more desperate. He would alternate between dismissive comments and sudden displays of affection, a manipulation tactic she now recognized clearly. "We're fine," he would say. "It was just a joke. Everyone was drinking." But Maria was done with fine. She was pursuing excellence in her career, in her personal growth, in her upcoming motherhood. She took professional development courses, expanded her architectural practice, and began mentoring young women in design. Each achievement was a deliberate act of self-reclamation. The turning point wasn't a single moment but a series of conscious choices. Therapy helped her understand that her worth wasn't determined by her husband's words or societal expectations. She was creating her own definition of success, beauty, and motherhood. As her due date approached, Maria made a significant decision. She would give birth on her own terms, surrounded by a support system of women who truly valued her. She prepared a birth plan that prioritized her emotional and physical well-being, with Elena and Lucia as her primary support. Her architectural designs began to reflect her internal journey. She started a project focusing on adaptive living spaces for single mothers, incorporating elements of resilience, flexibility, and hope into every blueprint. The baby kicked, a constant reminder of the future taking shape. Maria understood now that she wasn't just preparing for motherhood. She was creating a new legacy, a different narrative of strength, independence, and self-love. The woman who emerged from this crucible was not the same woman who had stood silently while her husband humiliated her. She was stronger, more intentional, fully aware of her own magnificent potential. Her transformation was just beginning. And she was ready. The final months of Maria's pregnancy became a crucible of personal reinvention. Her architectural firm, once a small practice focused on local projects, began to transform into a beacon of innovative design and social impact. She secured a groundbreaking contract with a progressive urban development initiative that focused on sustainable, affordable housing for marginalized communities. The project became more than just professional work, it was a mission. Each design represented hope, resilience, and the potential for positive change. Maria pursued additional certifications in sustainable urban design, taking online courses from international universities during her evenings. Her laptop became a portal to knowledge, balanced precariously on her growing belly as she studied environmental architecture, social design principles, and innovative community planning. Her mentor, Dr. Ramirez, a renowned architect who had pioneered sustainable design in Latin America, became a crucial support. "Your personal struggle is your greatest design," he told her during one of their mentoring sessions. "You're not just building structures. You're reconstructing possibilities." The support network she'd carefully cultivated became her lifeline. Weekly support group meetings for expecting mothers transformed into something more, a community of women supporting each other's dreams. They shared resources, childcare strategies, and most importantly, unwavering emotional support. Lucia helped her navigate legal preparations. Elena supported her psychological healing. Her mother, initially hesitant about Maria's decision to potentially raise a child independently, gradually became her strongest ally. "You are stronger than any challenge," her mother would say, bringing traditional Mexican dishes that nourished both body and soul. The kitchen became a space of healing, of storytelling, of intergenerational wisdom. Financial independence became a critical focus. Maria restructured her architectural practice, developing a business model that allowed for flexibility and growth. She began consulting for international firms, expanding her professional network while preparing for motherhood. Her blog about pregnancy, professional growth, and personal transformation gained significant traction. What started as a personal outlet became a platform for thousands of women. Speaking engagements followed conferences, online webinars, podcasts where she shared her journey of resilience. Therapy played a crucial role in her emotional healing. She learned to deconstruct years of emotional manipulation, understanding the subtle ways her confidence had been eroded. Each session was an excavation, removing layers of internalized doubt. Your worth is not determined by your relationship status or your body, her therapist would remind her. You are complete, entirely and beautifully complete, just as you are. Preparing for motherhood became an intentional, empowering process. She took comprehensive childbirth classes, not just learning physical techniques but understanding the emotional landscape of becoming a parent. She surrounded herself with positive, supportive resources that emphasized her strength. A home transformation mirrored her personal journey. The apartment she had once shared with Carlos was redesigned, not as a rejection, but as a reclamation. Each space became a testament to her creativity, her independence, her vision of the future. Her architectural skills came into play as she designed a nursery that was both functional and inspiring. Sustainable materials, adaptable furniture, spaces that could grow and change just like she was growing and changing. The baby's room became a metaphor for her entire journey. Bright, hopeful, filled with potential. Bookshelves lined with diverse stories. Artwork from various cultures. A mobile made of recycled materials that spun with the gentlest movement, a reminder of resilience and beauty. As her due date approached, Maria completed her most significant architectural project to date, a community center for single mothers, designed with spaces for education, childcare, professional development, and community support. This is more than a building, she told the local press during the project's launch. This is a statement about the power of community, of support, of reimagining what's possible. Carlos remained peripheral, making sporadic attempts to reconnect. But Maria had learned to set clear boundaries. Co-parenting would be a negotiation of respect, not a continuation of previous dynamics. Her pregnancy blog evolved into a comprehensive platform. Resources, support networks, professional development opportunities for mothers. What had begun as a personal healing journey was now a movement. The women in her support group became more than friends, they were a chosen family. They helped prepare her home, brought meals, offered childcare support. Their collective strength was a powerful antidote to the isolation she had once experienced. As her pregnancy progressed, Maria felt a profound sense of transformation. She was not just preparing to bring a child into the world. She was creating an entirely new narrative of motherhood, of professional success, of personal empowerment. The stretch marks Carlos had once mocked became symbols of her journey, beautiful, complex, telling a story of resilience and growth. Her body was not a battleground. It was a home. A sanctuary. A beginning. The encounter happened unexpectedly, 6 months after Maria's daughter, Sophia, was born. She was presenting her community center project at a prestigious architectural conference when Carlos walked into the back of the auditorium. Sophia was with Elena, safe and loved. Maria stood confidently at the podium, her presentation a powerful narrative of urban design, social innovation, and personal transformation. Her slides showcased the community center, a revolutionary space designed to support single mothers, offering education, childcare, professional development, and emotional support. As she concluded her presentation, the applause was thunderous. Colleagues, journalists, and urban development experts surrounded her, eager to discuss the groundbreaking project. It was in this moment of professional triumph that Carlos approached. He looked different. Smaller, somehow. The confident swagger that once defined him now seemed diminished. His eyes were fixed on Maria, a mixture of anger, confusion, and something that might have been respect. "We need to talk," Carlos said quietly, pulling her aside from the crowd. Maria's response was calm, measured. "About what?" "About us. About Sophia. About everything." They found a quiet corner of the conference center. Maria's posture was upright, confident, a far cry from the woman he had humiliated at that party months ago. "I've heard about your blog," Carlos began. "About everything that happened." Maria raised an eyebrow. "And?" He struggled to find words. The narrative he had always controlled was no longer his to manipulate. "I didn't think you were serious about leaving. About changing everything." "This isn't about leaving," Maria responded. "This is about becoming. About creating a life of value for myself and for Sofia." Carlos's attempt to reassert control was predictable. He spoke about reputation, about maintaining appearances, about Sofia's future. But Maria had prepared for this moment through months of therapy, of building her own strength. Co-parenting, she explained carefully, means mutual respect. It means putting Sofia's needs first. It means understanding that my worth, our daughter's worth, is not determined by your perception. The conversation was a delicate negotiation. They discussed legal arrangements, visitation, financial responsibilities. But more importantly, they discussed Sofia's future. "I won't let her grow up believing that a woman's value is determined by her appearance," Maria said firmly. "I won't let her think that love means tolerating disrespect." Carlos, for the first time, looked truly defeated. The manipulation tactics that had worked for years no longer held power. Maria had rewritten the script. Their discussion about co-parenting was clinical, professional. Maria had documentation, clear boundaries, a comprehensive plan that prioritized Sofia's emotional and psychological well-being. She was no longer asking for permission. She was stating her terms. The impact of their conversation extended beyond their personal dynamic. News of Maria's project, of her transformation, began to spread. Her blog post about the encounter went viral, a powerful testament to personal growth, to reclaiming one's narrative. Lessons emerged not just for Maria and Carlos, but for the broader community watching their story unfold. 1. Respect is non-negotiable. Point 2. Personal growth can emerge from the most painful experiences. Point 3. A woman's worth is defined by her own understanding of herself, not external validation. Sofia, still an infant, represented hope. A new generation being raised with understanding of true partnership, of mutual respect, of individual worth. Carlos's final words were telling. "I didn't understand," he admitted. "I thought I was losing control. But you've already won." Maria's response was compassionate but firm. "This isn't about winning or losing. This is about creating a better path for our daughter, for ourselves." As he left, Maria felt a profound sense of closure. Not anger. Not bitterness. But a clear, calm understanding of her journey. The conference hall buzzed with conversations about her project, about her story. Journalists wanted interviews. Colleagues offered support and collaboration opportunities. Her architectural firm was now recognized as a leader in socially innovative design, but Maria's greatest project was not a building. It was Sofia. It was herself. That evening, returning home, she looked at her daughter. Sofia, with her bright eyes and curious expression, represented everything Maria had fought for. A future undefined by past limitations. A life of possibility. "We are enough," Maria whispered, holding Sofia close. More than enough. The transformation was complete. Not as an ending, but as a beautiful, ongoing beginning. 5 years had passed since that humiliating night that had become the catalyst for Maria's transformation. Sofia was now a vibrant, confident kindergartner, and Maria's life had become a testament to the power of personal reinvention. The community center she had designed had expanded, now supporting over 500 single mothers annually. Her architectural firm had become a beacon of social innovation, with projects across Latin America that challenged traditional design paradigms. But more importantly, she had created a blueprint for personal resilience that extended far beyond physical structures. Reflecting on her journey, Maria understood that transformation was never about revenge or proving someone wrong. It was about proving something to herself about her worth, her potential, her ability to create meaning from pain. Her weekly support group had evolved into a national network. Women from across Mexico shared stories of recovery, of rebuilding, of reclaiming their narratives. What had begun as a personal blog was now a movement, a collective voice of resilience. Sofia represented everything Maria had fought for. Intelligent, compassionate, with a sense of self-worth that seemed to radiate from her very being. She was being raised to understand that love is respectful, that partnerships are about mutual growth, that a person's value is not determined by external validation. "Mommy," Sophia would ask, curious about the photographs and awards that lined their home, "is this the building you made to help other mommies?" And Maria would smile, explaining not just about architecture, but about the architecture of life, how we design our experiences, how we construct our own paths of healing and hope. Her relationship with Carlos had settled into a cordial co-parenting arrangement. Not friendship, but a mutual understanding. He had begun his own journey of personal growth, inspired by Maria's transformation. Sometimes, transformation impacts not just the person directly experiencing it, but those around them. The message was clear: resilience is not about never falling. It's about how you rise, how you rebuild, how you transform pain into purpose. To the women watching, to those feeling stuck, to those questioning their worth, Maria's story was a beacon. You are not defined by your lowest moment. You are defined by your courage to reimagine yourself, to rebuild, to rise. Her final words, often shared in her speaking engagements, became a mantra of hope. Your life is your most important project. Design it with intention. Build it with courage. Inhabit it with love.